I don't really have a typical day as such, in that it depends what part of the research I'm doing. So recently I've been writing my second year report, so my day has consisted of getting up, sitting at the computer for a few hours and typing away. But if I'm doing, for example, an experiment, then I'll be in the lab most days, monitoring the experiment, counting spores, and then if I'm out on field work, then again that's a full day.
I'm usually spending my day in Imperial College, in my office, working with the meteorological model, reading papers, following seminars, contacting schools to give presentations.
I don't think I have a typical day with my research, but when I was doing my bird surveys, for example, I would wake up at 4:30 a.m, not feel very happy about it, get in the OPAL car and drive to various different places, get out, do my surveys, take approximately an hour per site, write down everything I see with my binoculars, and move on to the next site. At the moment, this is my later stages of my PhD, I'm spending a lot of time in the office. I'm analysing all the data that I've collected over the 3 years, lots of statistical analyses, reading papers, using ArcGIS, which is a mapping program. There's a lot of different things that happen.
Well, my typical days, normally I'm going out into the field, talking to people, doing presentations, writing reports and those kind of things. Taking groups out on field trips, to various environmental areas.
Well, there's no such thing as a typical day because it's so variable. So initially I spent a lot of time in the field collecting data and collecting samples, and then I spent a lot of time in the lab analysing those samples. And now as I get towards the end of my PhD, I spend a lot of time looking for relationships and patterns in the data and writing up my thesis.
Typical day in the summer, I like to start early just to make the most of the morning sun when I'm measuring photosynthesis. So I'll leave the house and around 7, quarter to 7, 7 o'clock, pick up volunteers if I've got any, and I'll go to site and I will put leaf clips which dark adapt the leaves.
My typical day can be quite varied. I can one day be out with a beetle expert, the next day I can be reading a book about natural history, next day we could do an OPAL survey, or I could just be writing up my results at university in my office.
You clip these little clips onto the leaves and leave them for half an hour, and in the meantime I'll clip up half the seedlings and the other half I'll take photosynthesis measurements with the other instrument, the infrared gas analyzer, and then switch round when that's done, and then we'll take height and diameters and leaf area, and if I need to collect any samples for the lab I'll do that, and then that'll be it.
I don't really have a typical day as far as I can tell. I might be in the lab doing work, I might be in the field. This week I was decorating. A couple of months ago I was sewing bags. Next week I will be planting plants, and then the week after that I will be in the office writing.
The amount of time I spend in the field or in the office has varied enormously over my PhD. So at certain times of year, for example spring and summer, I would be spending approximately 6 weeks on end every day out in the field collecting data. At the moment I'm spending all my time in the office. So it's very variable depending on the season and depending on the study that I'm carrying out.
I don't really have a typical day, which is one of the reasons I quite like doing a PhD, because it varies from week to week. So some weeks, like this week for instance, I've spent 2 days out in the field and then I'm going to be spending 2 days in the lab, whereas I know that next week I'm pretty much desk-based for the whole week, so it just kind of varies all the time.